Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you after an all-time Jet debacle on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube. Folks, this will probably be the last time I talk about the Jets this year, because they have now gone to depths that I didn't even think were reachable after what we watched today. Okay? When they lost to Denver, I was irate. Absolutely irate. They lost to Minnesota, equally irate. But it has gotten worse since then. And let me just say this, okay? I knew that when they made moves that I thought they had to make, demote or get rid of the offensive coordinator. They do. They don't get rid of him, but they demote him. They fire the head coach, who was a bad head coach, but a good defensive coordinator. And that day I said, I agree with these moves. As a matter of fact, I called for them, but they had to go outside the organization and bring in experienced people, because they had nobody in the room who could coach this team. And that has been my worst fear, and it has come to fruition. And not only come to fruition, it has today been just exclaimed in highlights. I mean, just bold print. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This defensive coordinator, who has now become an interim head coach, has a better chance, okay, to become president than he does to be a head coach next year. I have a better chance to be an astronaut than this guy has to be a head coach in the future. He is worse than Saleh. The team has regressed in every way. How can you possibly watch what we've watched? Now, yes, they've had injuries, and they waited 8 weeks to get Reddick in, which was a disaster. But there's no leadership. I saw it today in the first drive. They got the ball, and give Gibson credit, he had a good game. Returns, caught a touchdown pass. They got the ball in good field position, went 3 and out, and as the offense came off the field, he was shaking their hands. What are you shaking their hands for? They went 3 and out. What are you shaking their hands for? And then you see on the last drive, when the defense is trying to stop a Patriot team that has obviously lost May, has Brissett in the quarterback, has lost 6 straight games, doesn't even believe it can go down the field, and it's complete in 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s, all over the field, running for first downs as the Jets get caught inside play after play after play. No discipline, no smarts. And then the coup de grace. Forget the missed extra point. Forget the missed field goal. They finally come down and score a touchdown, and okay, now get this very important 2-point conversion. So you're up 7, and the worst that happens is you go to overtime, and they get a delay of game with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I've come to the conclusion that isn't Aaron Rodgers. It's somebody else in that body. This has all been another bad trick. I've come to the conclusion that if the Jets had traded for Jim Brown in his prime, they would have made him a 3rd down back. They could ruin any player. I didn't think you could ruin Aaron Rodgers. They have. They've turned him into a bum. And these head coaches, they cut to the offensive coordinator. He looked like he was waiting for a bus. They asked the coach at halftime, and his statement just made no sense at all. It's something about continuing and just continue to pound the running game. You couldn't move the ball game on the ground. The Pats, who had given up 190, 170, 150. The Jets had 82 after 3 quarters. They can't get Adams, Wilson, Hall open against the Patriots, who were getting beat by 20 and getting beat by 16 and had lost 6 games in a row, and Belichick destroyed them last week. They had lost 6 games in a row, and I said, all right, listen, it's not going to mean much. It's not going to mean much, but go up there and just beat the heck out of this team because you owe them one. And what happens? This team ends their season with a classic drive. This rotten, the worst team in football went, well, they're not. They're the second worst. Carolina's the worst. They went 70 yards. Made big third down plays, big runs, and then pounded the ball into the end zone. You know why? Because they wanted it more than the Jets did. And you know who was in there trying to fire the Jets up? Devontae Adams, who took the team apart in his first week in the building. He talked about how bad things were. He walked into this thing and said, you got to be kidding me. Always made the statement that the Jets, like the Mets, and the Mets have gotten out of that web, could screw up a one-car funeral. The Jets are worse than that. They brought in an all-time quarterback, got him hurt the first year, and then killed his legacy. The first year, they only maimed him. The second year, they killed his legacy. If I'm him, I don't want to stay around for the next one. It is over, okay? There's no more reason to talk about them. And like everyone else who bought in that this could work, we said it time and again, and everybody said it, not just me. The one fear was that this coaching staff could destroy this team. And it did with Saleh. And then all Woody did, because he doesn't have a clue. All Woody did was make it weaker. Now, getting rid of Hackett had helped the offense a little. Not much, a little. But what has happened to the defense since Saleh left was the fear I had was you were taking Saleh out of there. You were taking the defensive coordinator, now making him think more about being a head coach than being a defensive coordinator. There was nobody to replace him, nobody to sit on the defense. So the defense has gone straight downhill since he's been the head coach. It has completely unraveled. It now stinks. And it used to be pretty good. I mean, are you watching on a punt return where Allen overruns the play, has him dead and overruns the play? Or some of the moves today by Gardner, missing Stevenson and allowing him to go down the sideline, whiffing on the tackle, and then getting beat, getting turned around like a top. He is playing not like an all-pro, he's playing like a bum. Wilson, yeah, he can make some catches, but he has big drop after big drop, big mistake after big mistake. Every single week, somebody runs the wrong pattern. Every single week, somebody drops a ball that's catchable. Every single week. And how come they can't get the plays in? They were out of timeouts in the first quarter. This is with an all-world quarterback. If they had had a chance in the first half, they could have gotten the ball back. But they had no timeouts. And what happened at the end of the game? When it looked like they could score, did they think of manipulating the clock? They couldn't, because they had no timeouts. They had to watch as the Patriots melted it down and left Rodgers nothing. Remember, a field goal They got their 2-point conversion, of course, because nothing works for the Jets. But they could have at least sent it into overtime if Rodgers had had 50 seconds and one timeout. They'd be in overtime. Although Zerline would miss the kick. Bill Parcells used to say to me, if my kicker doesn't kick 80% of his field goals, he's somebody else's kicker. Zerline has to be somebody else's kicker or nobody's kicker. Get rid of him. How many games can he lose in 1 year? Extra points, field goals. I mean, how many can they? And then how can they not get a play in on the whole time they're coming down the field? You know, if you score, you need a 2-point play. You're going to be up 5, and you get a delay of game. How is that possible? What are you guys doing on the sideline? Everything the Jets touches turns to garbage. Complete and utter garbage. I never thought they could top some of the stuff they've done in the past. But you know what? Today was as low could possibly be. They lead the league in penalties. They lead the league in drops. They lead the league in stupid plays. Rodgers is hurrying to get the playoff on every play. What is going on? They can't get their receivers open. You could bring in Rice, Lance Allworth, and Paul Warfield, and they still wouldn't get open. You got Wilson on one side, Devontae Adams and Hall, who is an incredible matchup against anybody out of the backfield, and they can't get anybody open. What the hell is going on? Can you imagine what goes on when these guys are game planning? I mean, really. He took a staff that was terrible and weakened it. You got to be a hell of an owner to do that, to take a staff and weaken it. Actually make the right moves and make the team worse. Make the moves that had to be made. And obviously there was a conflict here between the quarterback and the head coach over the coordinator and everything else. But the bottom line is he had to understand, and there's nobody there to tell what it is. He had to understand that he was going to weaken an already incredibly weak staff by what he did. They had to bring a head coach in there who brought with him some experience in both rooms. That was the only way this could work. And you know what? I thought they were going to hold on and win this game after they scored. I never thought that they'd come down the field and get a touchdown. I never did. I have to admit. I did not think that they could do that. Even against this Jet defense. I did not think that these guys, because they could only hit the tight end, and then they wind up finally hitting a wide receiver twice in a row. But I did not think they could do that. So I'm thinking they're going to win this game and have Houston on Thursday night. And I was sitting here saying, you know what? They won today. They got by. But they will not win another game, not against Houston, not against the Colts, not against the Dolphins, not against anybody else, unless you clean out this staff in terms of leadership right now, which means bring in a head coach. And that was going to be my suggestion if they won the game today. But now they've lost the game. And now their season is dead. They have no life. They have no leadership. Rodgers knows it's over. He knows this has been nothing but a complete failed experiment, which now is going to be laid at his feet. Adams is saying, I could have gone to Kansas City, and I came to this absolute, I don't even want to say what it is. Reddick saying, hey, I could have gone to the Lions, and I came here. Boy, did I screw up. Hey, remember, you got a week to clean house. You might as well do that. But why bother? Because you're going to clean house after this year's over, and then Woody's going to go out and hire the wrong guy again because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he doesn't know how to listen to the right people. That's why they're the Jets. And I have to admit, I had people tell me, you know what? They could ruin Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? They were right. And you don't need any more than to watch today as the Jets score to go up 5 and they get a delay a game on a critical 2-point conversion. And then how many plays did the Pats complete on 3rd and long? Go back and look. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. This defense has become a complete joke. And it misses Saleh, and it misses the fact that Ulrich is no longer the defensive coordinator, and he's trying to win a job. But all I've heard is bad things. What is he doing talking to Saleh all the time? You think Saleh's going to give him good information? And if you still listen to Saleh, what are you doing? If you want to be with Saleh, go be with him. Go be with him now. You sure didn't help this team. You have no chance to be a head coach. I mean, zero. And you don't deserve to be a head coach. You don't have any idea what you're doing. All I heard was this guy's going to be rah-rah. He's going to be in their face. He's shaking their hands when they go out and have a rotten first 3 plays. They have indecision whether they're going to go on 4th down. Rodgers looks annoyed that he's not going when they take the delay a game on 4th down. And he's shaking the offense's hands. Why? What did they do? You're rewarding them for what? Their ineptitude? You had Adams come in here and talk about how bad the culture, how listless this place was, and he was here a day. This is a disaster. And the only way it gets better is if Woody sells the team, and that's not going to happen. I hate to tell you. I thought Aaron Rodgers could come in here, especially when they went out and built the offensive line, but they didn't realize they had to coach it. Their coaching staff was as bad as anything I've ever seen. The product they're putting out there was awful. Their defensive product was down, but it wasn't as bad as looks now as it does since Saleh's gone. So Saleh gets a laugh because they've played worse since he left. Fair's fair. Better offensively, worse defensively. Much worse defensively. And the mistakes just keep on coming. And the undisciplined play. And listen, the Jets have been a big story, the biggest story in this league in the offseason. Rodgers has been a incredibly visible figure in New York since he got here. He has probably been topic number 1. Now he will find out what happens when you fail miserably in this town. You become a punchline. You become just a complete joke. And that's what he will find out what happens when this town turns its shoulder away from you and then just goes into the complete state of ignoring your presence. Nobody is going to care anything about Rodgers or the Jets the rest of the way. Not even a little. They have themselves to blame. They have their owner to blame. And they have a coaching staff that was so inadequate, it's embarrassing to blame. Don't not blame the players. Give the players their rightful blame. You got good players playing terribly. You got guys like Sauce Gardner who, thinks he's already a great player. You know what? He's played like a bum this year. He played like a bum today. They should be ashamed of themselves. But you know what? They're not even smart enough to be ashamed of themselves. We'll see you later.